on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for our weekly confab with Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Here's a fun story. I know since the Pritzker Purge Law took effect, things are going very well because Kim Foxx said so. It's good enough for me. But this story, just like classic Chicago, where anti-violence advocates beat you up for protection money. Westside convenience store owner told police a man has been demanding a $250 a week payout and struck him with a baseball bat while an accomplice robbed him and the store's cash register of more than $1,000.
Oh, they're collecting street taxes.
But the gentleman in question said he was tasked as an anti-violence advocate, claiming he worked for the alderman and that his efforts have decreased violence and drugs in the area since being assigned to the location about a year ago.
So Chicago.
He has beaten that neighborhood safe.
Yeah. And now give me your money. Give me debt.
The individual in question, the anti-violence advocate with the baseball bat, not afraid to use it. His criminal background includes a 10-year sentence for manufacture or delivery of cocaine, 3 years for being a felon in possession of a firearm, 12 years for second-degree murder.
Oh.
In 2005, he was found not guilty of murder and kidnapping. Lawyer fracked him, I guess, on that one. Yeah. All right. And again, I know the Pritzker Purge Law is going gangbusters. Equity. A 7-time felon is one of 2 men who drove a stolen vehicle to a West Loop restaurant, stole an ATM on Friday morning. He's only been out of jail for 3 months, but state officials are not moving to revoke his parole, and he was released from custody to await trial. 7-time felon drove a stolen vehicle to steal an ATM. He's been out for 3 months and released on his own recognizance. Yeah. What could go wrong? Chicago man already released twice under cashless bail, now accused of armed robbery. Yeah, again, nonviolent crimes. Man who's been charged with crimes twice since Illinois' cashless bail system debuted in mid-September. That's the Pritzker Purge Law, so-called Safety Act. And was released to await trial both times, struck out on Saturday over the weekend when prosecutors accused him of committing an armed robbery.
Oh. Yeah, victimless crime. Mm-hmm. Sure, it's not.
Yeah. It's going well, though.
Because the person he robbed is never going to be the same.
Crimes on the decline in Chicago.
Says who?
Says Kim Foxx and Brandon Johnson. That's good enough for me. What does Ted Dabrowski say? Ted, thanks for being with us, as always.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Good seeing you guys this weekend.
Good seeing you as well. I saw that you've put together a report over at Wirepoints, just sort of updating us on where crime in Chicago is year over year. The good news is that murders and shootings are down, so everything's getting back to normal.
Yeah, we wanted to put this out and get ahead of the crowd who's going to say things are better in Chicago on crime, because you're for sure going to hear that. And the reality is we'll hit a record high post-COVID. We'll have almost 80,000 major crimes, and that's compared to 50,000 back in 2019. So you're talking about a 60% increase, and it's also a nearly 20% increase over last year. So the crimes are there. Yes, they are going to focus on murders. Murders are down about 11%, But you look at the big cities like Philadelphia, they're down 22%. They're down 20% in Philadelphia, 21% in Houston, almost 20% in LA. So, yeah, we might be down a little bit, but that might be part of a broader national trend on murders. But crimes are up, and I tell you, we don't know how the Safety Act is going to play. You pointed out some good stories there, which of course we've seen a lot of. But as the Safety Act kicks in more and more, and the no cash bail kicks in, we've seen the population of the Cook County Jail drop 10% in just 2 months, and we're 40-year lows on who's in jail in the Cook County Jail. So that's kind of scary for people who are concerned that there's more and more criminals running around.
What are they doing with all the jail guards then? They must be bored out of their minds.
Same thing you do with CPS teachers. Just pretend like the population's the same.
Oh yeah.
Why not?
Well,
everybody's got an imagination.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, everybody's got imagination. Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, you're right. 7-time felon accused of stealing an ATM. A guy who was released twice commits an armed robbery allegedly. Those are the people that are on the street thanks to the Safety Act and thanks to the effort to decarcerate repeat violent offenders. So, I mean, it sounds like it's going well. I like this discussion where, we're only 6 weeks in and so on and so forth. Yeah, but we have real world data from New York that's had a modified, less aggressive form of system of no cash bail since 2019. And we know some of the research there, which is that violent crime ticked up. So, we're not, how are we different than New York? How the human beings here are like the human beings there. They respond to incentives. And so we should anticipate that violent crime will tick up as a result.
Well, that's exactly right, Dan. And we also have the experiment here in Cook County back in 2017 when Chief Judge Tim Evans passed his low cash, no cash bail. And that's, we've seen the Cook County jail population trend down, what is that, like 30%. And, a lot of that has to do with these people, going right back out on the streets. And look, here's what's amazing about the cash bail. It's something that, if somebody gets out on cash bail, you got like a parent watching out over the person. This monetary thing has some impact, and there's a penalty for having done something wrong. It's still while you're awaiting trial, of course. Without that, people they're committing a crime and they are back out immediately, and so therefore they can go do the next robbery right out the next day, and that's a real problem right there.
Well, and also too, there's no incentive to go to your court case.
Yeah, and for sure, there's less incentive for that. Although there's a lot of debate about the numbers there, but for sure you don't have to go back because you're not going to lose anything.
Hey, what's going on with Goshen in Manteno? And I saw that your colleague Mark Glennon recently interviewed some folks up in Michigan who have a similar Goshen EV project, and they just recalled all the people on their township board who supported that sweetheart deal for that Chi-Com EV battery maker in Green Charter Township. What's going on in Michigan that perhaps could provide some instruction to the residents of Manteno?
Some lessons for Illinois. Look, this is one of the big national stories, and it's a small story in the sense that it's a small town, but it's huge. So the Goshen, this Chinese call it run company that does electric vehicle batteries, is trying to put up a similar plant in Big Rapids, Michigan, just like the one they're doing in Manteno. There's some differences, but it's pretty much the same thing. And this is a big deal. They're trying to get the state government in Michigan and, of course, federal subsidies, billions in subsidies. Well, the people in Big Rapids didn't want it. They kept saying, we don't want it. They knew nothing about the transaction. It was done in secrecy, just like the one in Manteno, and it was being shoved down the people's throats. And so the people in Big Rapids said, well, we're going to recall our entire Green Charter Township. And they did. It's exactly what they did. And I think all of them were Republicans, by the way, who were in power. But basically, it was so much secrecy. Nobody was paying attention to the locals. And boom, they recalled them all and replaced them all. And so now you've got a situation where at least the new town officials can push back, demand answers. It's a beautiful model for what should happen in places like Illinois. We don't have the same recall powers, but it should be a reminder to local officials that, hey, you work for the local people, and you need to respond to them. So I hope people get inspired by what's happening. Everybody should go check out exactly what happened in Michigan.
The national fallout from the unprecedented repeal of an existing K-12 scholarship program continues. Wall Street Journal opined again on what the political ruling class did in this state to end the tax credit scholarship program. And, one of the things that's remarkable to me, it's just sort of a microcosm of the larger problem in Illinois, is Cardinal Supich, the head of the Chicago Archdiocesan Schools. Maybe I missed it, but he didn't say much of anything. He did after the fact, but there was no public effort to call people out, hold people accountable, profile scholarship families for Chicago media. There's no effort made by anybody, including Supich. And that's despite the fact that Supich knew the end of this program would lead, and it's going to lead, to the closure of 10 to 15 more archdiocesan schools. This is going to further debilitate the Catholic school system in Chicago that's already seen its population student enrollment go from 300,000 in 1990 to 70,000 today. Wow. While Big Shoulders is applauding themselves. It's happened on the watch of all of these private school, Catholic school advocates, Chicago Catholic school advocates. How does anybody explain this? But so that's a separate and distinct. But you're the head. You're the cardinal. Nothing.
Yeah, Dan, I think the whole movement, and this is the problem with Illinois, is that it's like the hostage syndrome. We don't know how to fight back anymore, and I think they're still hoping. Well, let's not muddy the waters. Let's be nice, because maybe
let's be nice.
January, yeah. So in January maybe they'll do something for us. And we have to stop this whole being sweet, and let's not provoke them. Don't wake up the unions.
What Republicans are going to push for this again?
Who cares? I just heard that on Mike Scott's newscast. Some legislators are talking about bringing back this TCS, the Invest in Kids Act, in the spring. Are you serious? Yeah. I mean, who do you think you're fooling? Really?
Right. Yeah. I mean, Chris Welch. They're not going to bring it back, and the unions are so happy. They're letting all the Democratic legislators who oppose this. Hey, you did a great job in not bringing this to a vote. It's a different type of war that we need to fight for school choice, and it should be a war, because I keep talking about it. I think what's fascinating everywhere I go, I think one of the most interesting things for people is how bad these schools are, and how bad the reading results are and math results. When you've got these results in many of these schools where just a handful of kids are reading at grade level, it should be a war, not a nice request of Welch and Harmon, all these guys who send their own kids to private schools. It should not be a nice request. It should be a battle and a war. We should have it way out loud in the public sphere, and not in the back rooms of the State House, hoping and begging and groveling for a few scholarships.
Ted Dabrowski, President of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Ted. Oh, yeah.
Dan,
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 go ahead.
Can I mention one thing?
Yeah, sure.
I want to mention that we had just one thing. We talked about it a couple times. We had the event on the rapid onset of gender dysphoria. We had the event that was canceled by the Writers Theater in Glencoe, but we had it in the Wilmette Library. And kudos to the Wilmette Library for allowing us to have, kudos to them. It's a public space. They should allow it, but they did allow it.
Thank you for allowing us to use the space we finance.
Yeah. Right. But in this crazy age, we had it, and Nutria Neighbors who put that together. I'm on the board there, but Beth Feely, we did a really nice job of having a non-hyperbolic discussion, which I think everybody appreciated. Both sides were there, but it was the kind of way of, we have all these fights over libraries, books, and all that stuff. There's a way to have a civil discourse in a way that a place like the library, everybody learned. How about that? And yes, there were other people on the other side who may have not been happy.
That's fine.
But it was done in a way that we could have a constructive discussion about this massive increase of young girls who are transitioning, and it doesn't make any sense, et cetera, et cetera. So kudos to everybody who put that together. I was really happy to see it work out the way it did.
Excellent. How many people showed up roughly?
Oh, room full. It's probably 70, 80. I don't know, maybe,
That's great.
maybe more.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that it went well. Very good. Ted Dabrowski, wirepoints.org. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Are you a driver of a Ford Power Stroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford Power Stroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage.